The Roundabout Theater Company continues its blockbuster season with the revival of Tennessee Uильямs' psychological drama Suddenly Last Summer. The play first opened off-Broadway in 1958 as part of an evening called Garden District. In 1959, it was turned into a film starring Katharine Hepburn, Elizabeth Taylor, and Montgomery Clift. This time around, Tony Award winner Blythe Danner stars as the formidable Mrs. Venable, an aging widow distraught over the mysterious death of her son Sebastian. When the young cousin traveling with him, played by Carla Gugino, begins raising scandalous allegations, Mrs. Venable enlists the help of a young doctor, played by Gale Harolde, to preserve her son's reputation.
Sebastian was a poet. And that's what I meant when I said his life was his work, because the work of a poet is the life of a poet, and vice versa, the life of a poet is the work of a poet. I mean, you can't separate them. I mean, for instance, a salesman's work is one thing, and his life is another, or can be. And the same thing is true of a doctor. Or your merchant thief. Oh, but a poet's work is his life, and his life is his work in a special sense, because... I've already talked myself breathless and dizzy.
You know, I've always had such an affinity for Uильямs, always, and have been fortunate enough to play it 3 of his women, and just, there's something that he fills that very few playwrights can. You know, he really transports you to a world that's full of conflict and joy and grief and sort of all the colors. And it's just a joy to embrace him and play him.
How well would you know this play? Because I think this is one of his finest plays.
Yes.
It may not be one of his most well-known plays, but I think the writing in this and the character development is so wonderful. Did you know it well before you got involved?
No, I didn't actually. And Carla and I did a reading with the Roundabout several months ago, and it just resonated so strongly in each of us. I think that he loved this play, I think, more than any other, or at least he said he really loved it because, I don't know if Carla or whether you'd read it, but he wasn't allowed to have, he was in analysis, and he wasn't allowed to have sex, and he wasn't allowed to write. So all of this poured out of him because, you know, he'd been prohibited from sort of following what instinctively he did so often. So I think it's so intense because of that, too.
It's a very strange play. It's extremely easy for it to become psychological and theoretical and intellectual and all those things because that's what it is. And he's humanized it in such a way that I think that all of us as actors have been able to just feel real, you know, and that's the trick of the play, is making it accessible not only to the people that are watching it but to the people that are performing it, because there are, you know, it's a strange play.
Sister, I want you to please be very careful what you say to your Aunt Violet about what happened to Sebastian in Cabeza de Lobo.
What do you want me to say about what?
Just don't say that same fantastic story for my sake and George's sake, the sake of your brother and mother. Don't repeat that horrible story again, not to Violet, will you?
Well, then I'm going to have to tell Aunt Violet what happened to her son in Cabeza de Lobo.
Well, honey, that's why you're here.
Mrs. Holly gets to come on and do hilarious, edgy, wonderful things, and yet still be so emotionally involved and care so desperately. She stands to win $100,000, which in 1936 was worth $1.3 million during the Depression. So high stakes. There's never a moment where the stakes aren't incredibly high in this play, and the language is beautiful. I mean, there is no better poetry in our field than the words of Tennessee Uильямs. He's a poet.
Well, George Holly is a youngin', and he needs something so bad that he's willing to sacrifice another part of his family to get it, I think. And the great thing I think about the way that Mark has done it is like we're all. It's not camp. We're all humans. We're all basic human. Like we're humans that have gotten down to their basic needs. And I think that when you, I don't know, to borrow a phrase from Doug Wright, if you find the beating heart of any story, it's going to make sense and it's going to touch people, audience members, in a way.
We won't get a single damn penny. Honest to God, we won't. So you just got to stop telling that story about what you say happened to Cousin Sebastian and Cabeza de Lobo. Even if it's what it couldn't be, true. You got to drop it, sister. You can't tell such a story to civilized people in a civilized, up-to-date country.
Kathy, why did you invent such a tale?
But, Mother, I didn't invent it. I know it's a hideous story, but it's a true story of our time and the world we live in and what did truly happen to Cousin Sebastian and Cabeza de Lobo.
What's incredible about a great playwright is that the more you do it and the more you read it, the better it gets, which is incredible. I mean, I think it's a testament to great writing. At first I thought, this is, it's a very specific structure and it's a very personal play to him, and he's written these amazing characters, and all of those things were clear to me at the beginning. But I actually think it's sort of genius now. Like, I really have actually, each performance I find a line or a moment that is just, that I discover that I didn't see before. And it's interesting, there'll be a line that I'm having a problem with or feeling like, why am I not connecting with that? And I'll look at it again and I'll go, oh, there's a dash there, that's why. It's really interesting. I mean, he was just such a phenomenal writer, and I feel so blessed to play this part.
It's been really exciting to watch this play with an audience because I think it's very demanding because you really have to listen to it. There's not a lot of physical action. There's not. It's a very verbal play with a lot of big set pieces, a lot of big verbal arias, and audiences have been very captivated by it, I think, and very attentive, and have really stuck with it, and have been very, very still. And that's been really exciting to sit in the house and have the audience be so attentive and so engaged by what's going on in a play that is so wordy, because I think we're just not used to that. Our attention spans are unfortunately a little shorter than that.
You see, I'm holding my hand out, and I want you to put yours in mine and give me all your resistance. Pass all of your resistance out of your hand into mine.
Here's my hand, but there's no resistance in it.
You are totally passive.
Yes, I am.
You will do what I ask.
Yes, I will try.
You will tell the true story.
Yes, I will.
The absolutely true story. No lies. Nothing not spoken. Everything told exactly.
Everything exactly.